Hello everyone again and welcome again to the NextTS root course, and today we are in the class 9. We are going to talk about React query because we already created our HTTP fetch functions, and now that one of the attributes that React has, we are using NextJS framework, but NextJS inherits a lot of configuration. It is a framework that is inherited from React. So, and in React framework, there are a lot of ways of managing the state of your component. What is the state? The state is basically an object that it is inside some component that you have, and when you change that state, that object, it can be many objects too, but when you change this state, basically what the component does it is re-rendering. The components basically will render again when you change the state. And there are a lot of ways of managing the state. You can manage the state with their own React state mechanism. You can manage the state with global state managers like Redux, Mobex, and we can use some, but we start to get into a problem when we are starting to deal with asynchronous calls. So imagine, and for this, there are some libraries like Tunk and also Saga that are libraries that are used to help our state management to deal with this asynchronous calls, because when we do asynchronous calls, we don't know when our state will be updated again. We don't know the exact time that our API or the another server will respond our HTTP request or WebSockets or whatever. So we are going to use React query, which helps us for doing that hooks, so that asynchronous APIs in each of the components. So it's not a global state management, but is a single state management for each of the components. So each of the components may use this hook, and we won't have this global state management. So basically, we are going to use React query that is already defined in our dependencies. And the another thing that we just need to do now, first of all, we are going to run npm run dev our application first, just to check that everything is okay. Okay, everything's okay, it is running, and we are going to test this. Just go here to localhost 3000, and let's go back to our code to wait a little bit to compile everything. Compile successfully. As we can see, we have our application here. Remember that we created the create form, and now what we are going to do here, with this up and running, we are going to our files and we are going to create a new folder. We are going to create a new folder that is called but first, instead of creating this folder, let's go to the app_app.tsx, because what we need to do here, the first thing that we need to do is formatting this, because it's very unformatted. It is not formatted. I don't know why, but this doesn't work now. I will just link this just for make sure that it's formatted, so it will not look weird. Okay, so I will put the application to run again, npm run dev, and then we are using _app.tsx because we want to inject the React hooks in now React query in all of their components. So in the same case of the styles.css, we only override the configuration of the default component of Next within _app.csx, that all the components will receive this property. So basically, the first thing that I need to do here is import query client, and that's from React query, and query client provider from React query too. And then we are going to import this action here, Hydrate, which it is from React query, query hydration. Great, we have imported all the new things that we need. First of all, we need to create a query client that is a singleton guy that is going to be responsible for all everything related to React query. So we are going to export a constant name it query client. This code completion is not good. A query client and new query client. This guy, this object here, this type that we imported from React query dependency. And now we have to inject this into our component. So there are some components that are related to this. We are going to do this basically for we need to add those components here in the render of the _app.tsx. We are going to add this component here, query client provider, for injecting the provider, the client of the React query to all of the components. Okay, so okay, and this guy's comments inside this guy here. And there is just another component, which is the Hydrate component. The Hydrate component is just to when a HTTP request responds to us, we need to hydrate and let all the guys that are using React query that something was updated to. We use this guy hydrated to, and we need to pass this state argument props to it. It will be page props dot the hydrated state, which is done one state before we did the changes. And basically we need, now everything's okay. We just need to here, okay, everything's formatted. We'll just run the same thing again, npm run lint. It is for everyone getting the same addiction that I have for linting, formatting everything. And it hadn't formatted because I haven't saved it, so I will run it again. And okay, I forgot this guy. There is a parenthesis here. Okay, this guy here, this guy is from this guy here. I have one, this guy here is lost actually. So we going to run npm run lint. Just for, okay, now it is formatted. We have injected React query to our app.tsx, and now we have to create the hooks. The hooks will basically call the HTTP functions that we created for fetching the HTTP requests, and we'll get the result of that HTTP request and inject into our component in a format of state. So basically this is the goal of the library React query. And here what we are going to do now, we're basically going to create a new folder. We're going to create a new folder that is called hooks. So I will create a new folder here call it hooks. And inside that folder I will create a new file called hooks.ts. Here's I'm going to create my hooks, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I will create a hook called use customers. That is, it's the hook that will be related to the HTTP fetch for getting all the customers. So it will be export function use customers, and this will return an user use query result, which is a type that is from the React query package library. We haven't imported this guy yet, so it will be import. Okay, we imported this guy here. The problem is that it imports with double quotes. We only need single quotes, but okay. It will return basically the use query, which is another function that, and we need to pass a name to that query. Basically it will be customers, and we just need to pass the get customers function. That, remember the get customer functions that we did in the last class? We just need to do this to see how it's not so much complicated to use this. And then we are going to create then other hooks, which will be for creating a customer. And when we are talking about React query and also GraphQL, when we are chanting data, we are basically mutating data. So we have to do a mutation. So when we are basically doing post request, delete request, and put request, we are doing a mutation. So we create a new function called use mutation create customer. This won't receive nothing, and basically will be use mutation result. This is a guy from React query too, and he receives some parameters for that class, some generic parameters. Will be those guys. That will be those guys here. Access response with of type any, and also he will receive an unknown, also an I customer, and unknown too. Those guys here doesn't matter now actually. This guy will import from Nexus. Okay, I will just remove those guys here because we don't need those guys. Okay, and then now I'm good to create this guy here, and this will basically return for me I use mutation, which is a function for React class. We are going to give the same name as customer to that mutation because it is not a query, it is a mutation. And we are basically going to receive a data here, which will be the I customer that I will send to my post function. So we are going to create now we are going to use create customer, which is the function that we created in the last class, and we'll pass the data that we want to send to date as the request body of that function. And next thing that we just need to do, it is create a callback here that will be on success. We need to specify on success. We are going to have an async function that will basically do this. That will basically await query client clear. Why we are doing this? Basically, we created a mutation here, use mutation, and then we use the function that we created in the last class. But we inserted here a callback for telling that if this goes well on success, I will call my query client, which is the singleton that I created in the _app.tsx, and we'll clear. Why this? I'm going to clear because to clear all the cache of this, because I don't want to clear to create this anymore again. So everything is okay. Everything. Let's just. It is already formatted. We don't need to format this too. And the next thing that we are going to do will be the magic. Actually, this will be the magic. The only thing. Remember that we had our index.8.tsx. We are going to run this. Run dev first. To everything be okay, and then let's go to our main page where we have the table of all the customers in the index.ts under the pages directory. And remember that here we were getting in the component the sample data customer, which was our sample data. We are still going to use the sample data, but now we are going to use the hooks we respond this data to. So we effectively are going to have everything done for fetching the API. So why we do this? Because most of the things, as I said, we don't have the backend ready or done yet. So basically the only thing that we need to do, we have everything. When we finish this, we will have everything done. And imagine that the front end, the backend already has been done. The API has finalized the API. So I just need to do what? To turn off the mock, and then the request will go direct to the server, and I don't need to change anything in my code. That's the best part, and that's the good thing, because I can test before the front end being done, and even after it's done, I can test the integration with this. And here is where we are going to use the magic. We are going to use data, and we are going to use use customer for React rooks, use customers. This function will basically use the rooks, we'll call the rooks, and basically when the HTTP request changes and responds to us, this will be updated and will be act as the state of this component. So the component will be render it again when I receive this guy here. And then what will happen is that we are going to receive the data from our mock data, basically. So let's check if we have everything ready here. So if I go back to our CRUD app, okay, everything's okay here. I can, oh, there is one point that I forgot for you guys. This one, our mock is not working yet because we don't have the environment variable that enables our mock. How can I check this? And remember that now we can see the loading component that we created in the last class, in some of the last classes. What we can do here basically, we can insert a debug, go to hooks of to fetch in the last class, and we basically can put a debugger here and a debugger here inside. This is for debugging in the browser. We are going to just run it again, and then we just need to do this, that the debugger will triggers. And if we take a look, this guy here is false, so we don't have our mock enabled yet. So because we need to inject the environment variable that will turn the mock on. So in that time, that's why it is not working, and it's retrieving an error of 404. It's not found. The HTTP request not found the server that we are requesting this data from. So basically, the thing that we need to do now here, we need to create that environment variable. But how can we create here this? First, what we can do, we will create a new file, name it .env. Here we are going to place that file, in that file, all the environment variables that we have for our application. And this cannot be committed. It is also included in the git ignore of our repo, because here are all the environment variables that you have in our application. So basically the database credentials will be here too, so you cannot commit or push this to your repo, because otherwise we are going to push all the credentials and the important all the information that doesn't need to be shared in our application, all the sensitive data of your application actually. So we are going to do a React mock on equals true, which is the environment variable that we want. And now we are finally going, but for injecting this as an environment variable, we need to create a new file that is called, because this is where we define the values, and we need to create another file to tell Next to get those environment variables. So this file needs to be named as next.config.ts. It is already created here, but the only thing that you need to do, it is quick fix. Okay, the only thing that we need to do here actually, it is creating this guy here, module sports, and under the env section, the only thing that I need to do is create React mock on, and get this from the process.env.react mock from that file here. So if I add a new environment variable, call it test here, it is equals true. The only thing that I need to do here is go to that file, put test. So NextJS will be able to will be aware that this guys exists, and it needs to be injected in your application. So that's it. So basically everything's okay now. I will put env again here. Let's get back here. We are still going to use the debuggers, and we are going to run npm run dev again for just checking out the results. And let's check it. The bad thing is that sometimes it takes time, and also as I'm recording on my PC, on my computer, it takes a little bit of time. But now if we take a look here in the debugger, we can see that this is set to true now, and if I play it again, it will be inside that guy, and then the mock will be activated. And basically now I got this, and remember that I set this to 2 seconds. If I reload the page again, let's just remove this debugger here. If you don't know how to debug, this is the first time, one of the best things that I think You just need to write debugger and open the inspector of your browser that the code will be debugged. The another way of doing this, it is basically in VS Code. Effectively, you can change here to JavaScript debug terminal, and you just put a breakpoint here, which is another good way to debug. Okay, everything's okay now. I will just save here to take out the debuggers, and now we have 2 seconds, 1, 2, and now we got our data. Look what, and this our mock, it is basically getting this. If we go to our mock here and put a debugger here, we will see that this guy, it is getting and sending the data back again. So everything is ready. We can the only thing that we need to do now is create the mutation. We have already the mutation for create, but we need to apply that on the component. And the next thing that we just need to do is the edit and delete component, and also the mutations and the fetch, HTTP fetch. And then we will be everything ready in the UI side of things, and then we will go directly to the API side of things. So thanks a lot. This was a long class, but it was one of the most important class of the courses of this course. And just remember, those classes are sponsored by Xteam, one of the most famous and the best company of the world for remote jobs. If you don't know, if you want to know more about this company, grab the link here down below in the description. Grab the link to the GitHub where we are going to where all our code base is to. In the description too, and follow and subscribe this channel, and also give it your like and a comment about that, and see you in the next class, which will be the class 10th. And thanks a lot, guys.